Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another Steam 2 video. And today was the reveal stream for Heresy. So we got to see a bunch of new stuff, some of the weapons, the activities, and what we're going to be talking about today, some of the new artifact mods that we're going to have for next season. And I gotta tell you just right now, they're looking pretty spicy. It looks like next season, we're going to have some pretty great mods that no matter what you like using, you're probably going to have something that you like. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be taking a look at the mods that we got to see today, and I'm just going to give you my thoughts on them. We didn't get to see every single mod in the artifact, but we did get to see a lot of them, and especially some of the very exciting ones that they specifically pointed out. So let's start with a couple of the anti-champion mods next season, and there's definitely some spicy ones. The very first one is going to be Unstoppable Fusion Rifle. So the fusion rifles are back to being unstoppable, and it looks like this mod is going to work for both normal fusion rifles as well as linear fusion rifles, since they're both in the picture. So that is pretty fantastic, and dealing with unstoppable seems like it's going to be pretty easy next season. And that's pretty much going to be like a pattern that you're going to be seeing as we go through these mods. This might be some of the best champion mods we had in a while. Next, we're going to have Overload Machine Guns, so if you guys like using your machine guns in PvE, they just got even better. And specifically, if you use the Thunderlord for the overload capabilities, now you'll be able to do that with any other machine gun as well. For the barriers, it seems like we only have one thing, which is piercing sidearms, but that's more than enough. This is gonna affect both the special ammo sidearms and the primary sidearms, and since we have so many rocket sidearms in the game now, it's pretty much what everyone's gonna be using for their anti-barrier. It's gonna be fantastic. So I hope all of you guys get your chill clip sidearm from Iron Banner, because that thing is about to go crazy next season, essentially being able to deal with every single champion in the game with piercing sidearms. We're also going to have anti-barrier sniper rifle, so if the sidearms are your thing, the snipers will also be able to break those barriers, which both of them are fantastic, and the barriers are just going to have a bad time next season. Both of these weapons are going to be just breaking those barriers really quickly, and they're not really going to be that much of an issue. And the final unstoppable weapon is actually going to be Unstoppable Glaive, which I know a certain person might be very interested in Unstoppable Glaive. But yeah, all of you glaive lovers will be able to have some intrinsic anti-champion capabilities. Although a lot of you guys already run like the Stasis Glaive with choke clip, but it's just going to make it even easier to stun some champions. So those are going to be our anti-champion mods, but now let's get into some of the spicier ones. Some of the ones that are going to affect our builds. And the very first one is going to be Malignant Harvest. Rapidly applying Volatile causes your next instance void damage to create a weakening burst. So this is going to give us a very easy way of weakening targets as long as we're applying Volatile. And this is going to work great with both Volatile rounds and also the newly buffed Destabilizing rounds, I think. Since you're going to be able to apply them more, you're probably going to be able to apply this mod a lot more often with that. So it's going to be a very easy way to apply some weakening targets, and I cannot wait to try this out with the Grafalcon. The Grafalcon got another buff, boys. It's about to get better next season again. And also this perk will also have a boosted version, which allows you to get a small overshield whenever you apply weaken. And I kind of wonder how they're going to be doing this if they're not doing the tonics like the last season, because they changed the system a bit. I wonder how we're going to be activating these like boosted versions of the perks. The next perk is going to be Flash Cover. When you gain Bolt Charge, you become amplified and lightning bolts deal more damage. This seems like it's going to be great for any art builds that are all about Bolt Charge, and I'm already kind of like starting to think of some builds that are really going to take advantage of this perk. The next perk that we're going to have is going to be Horse Shuttle. Whenever we damage any unravel targets with a weapon, they will occasionally spawn threadlings. And this seems like it'll be pretty good for any like strand build. Especially for the ones that are all about unraveling, this seems like the perfect perk for it. Especially the boosted version of the perk, which will allow the threadlings to sever targets they damage. So yeah, it's kind of like a feedback loop. The threadlings that you make from shooting enemies that are severed will essentially create more severed enemies, so they can create more threadlings, so you can just keep that cycle going over and over again. The next perk that we have is actually a glaive one, and it's Nobel. Rapid Glaive Final Blows grants special ammo glaives additional ammo, and blocking damage with glaives increases their melee damage. Now this is going to be fantastic for glaives. especially with all the different glaive buffs that are coming, especially to Excalibur. Not only are you going to be getting some extra damage for blocking some damage, but you're also going to be getting some extra ammo, so you don't run into any ammo issues with your glaive, and basically always have ammo in your glaive for this next episode. I'm for the very first time actually kind of excited to use a glaive, like I said, especially the Excalibur. I think we have a couple of builds cooking up for the Excalibur that I think is going to be nasty. The next perk has to be one of my favorite perks and is finally coming back, and it's Particle Reconstruction. Dealing sustained damage with fusion rifles or linear fusion rifles, partially refills the magazines for reserves, and grants them bonus damage for a short period of time against targets. So the linear fusion rifles are back on the menu, boys, and I'm sure that we're about to have a linear fusion rifle meta. So hopefully all of you guys have been saving up all the fantastic linears that have been kinda showing up every once in a while, every couple of seasons, because this is their time to shine. And I'm actually really happy to see Particle Reconstruction back. I never thought that we were actually going to see it again. But for those of you guys that have not been saving up your fusion rifles and your linear fusion rifles, we'll have a video out for you soon, just essentially telling you how to get the best ones. Next up, we're going to have a very interesting perk. It is the Defibrillating Blast. Stunning a champion grants the maximum stacks of bullet charge, and it also triggers an arc bolt that heals you and jolts combatants that it damages. And this is a very interesting perk. Not only is it going to be providing you with more damage without bolt charge, but it seems that as soon as you trigger the perk, it also is going to be jolting a bunch of things and healing you at the same time. So this perk pretty much has everything that you would want for any like endgame activity. So if you're going to be using an arc perk, this is pretty much going to be a must-have in the next season. So all of those hunter builds, all of those warlock builds that you guys might be thinking about for next season, you want to have this mod. And now the final mod that we're going to be taking a look at, or the one that we have access to, is going to be Void Floods. Defeating weakened targets with a void weapon applies volatile to nearby targets, and powerful targets increase the radius of the explosion. This mod pretty much just gives any of your void weapons built-in destabilizing rounds from the sound of it, and that is fantastic. But I do wonder if the radius of the explosion is actually going to be bigger than the destabilizing rounds, since it is a seasonal mod, so I could definitely see it being bigger. But we're gonna have to wait and see. But I can definitely see this working very well with some of the other Void mods that we have this season. It seems like the Void and Arc builds specifically are gonna go crazy next season. So hopefully you guys have some Arc or some Void builds in mind. But even if you don't you worry, because I'm gonna be bringing you lots of builds that first week. But yeah, that's pretty much all the mods that we know currently. Later this week we should know a couple more. So if you guys are watching this video a little bit later, check down the description below, and on the top comment there should be a couple more mods, and I'm gonna try to keep that comment updated as more mods are revealed, so you guys can stay up to date even if you're watching this a little bit later. But thank you for watching today, thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.